What's up, guys? Welcome to today's show. So the two topics of conversation today are going to be, can Aston Villa crack the top six, the big six? Can Aston Villa get in there again next season? I think they can. I think they can. And the other topic of conversation is going to be Arsenal's second bid for Declan Rice rejected by West Ham. But first, Villa. I want to make this clear. Unai Emery is a world-class manager. Since Unai Emery became the Aston Villa manager, since he has been in situ till the end of the season, only Arsenal and Manchester City accumulated more points than Aston Villa since Unai Emery became the manager of Villa following the sacking of Steven Gerrard. Legendary player, but average manager. I think he's better than Lampard by some distance. But Gerrard is still. He still needs. I think Gerrard needs to learn. I do think Gerrard can be a good manager. He just needs to take a step back and go to other countries, learn the football culture, maybe go down a couple of levels and come back and build himself up. He's still a young man. But Unai Emery is exceptional, and I believe with acquisitions they can definitely. I believe they can even challenge for the top four. How about that? Now look at it. We've got Manchester City. They're certainly to get the top four. Manchester United, Arsenal, Newcastle. That was the other top four. The other three. Then Liverpool, I will assume they're going to be back challenging for the top four. I think they'll be challenging Manchester City. But that depends if Jurgen Klopp is backed properly by the ownership. Chelsea, I don't think they'll be challenging for a title, but I think they'll be challenging for the top four. I don't think Spurs will be anywhere near it. I think, if Kane goes, hopefully he goes for his own sake. I think Postecoglou ain't going to be at the level that they need. And I think that the wheels are going to fall off the Postecoglou car at Spurs very soon. So I don't think Spurs are in it. So we've got about, 6, 7, 8 teams that are trying to fight for the top 6 and the top 4. Why I think Villa will get in the top 6 is because of Unai Emery. Now, they're in the Nations League, and I think that Emery's going to take that tournament very seriously because it's a way to get back into the Europa League, a competition that he is very well established, the best Europa League manager in history. So that is a ticket back to the Europa League. The only problem is will they be able to have the squad to compete on both fronts? We saw what happened to West Ham. They were floating around a relegation zone, but they managed to win the Nations League. But will the fact that they're in the Nations League, will that make their league form drop off? Unai Emery's going to be aware of that. He's too smart a manager. So he's going to need to bolster his squad. I think he needs at least 3 starters and 3 squad players. Bring up some of the youngsters, bring up some of the academy boys that are at the level. Maybe bring some loanees back who are at the level, and get rid of some of the players like Coutinho, who's hemorrhaging the wage bill. Get rid of him. Get rid of Philippe Coutinho. Was a great player, but his days are gone. Go to Saudi, mate. Bondia's a fantastic player, one of Emery's main men. Maybe the left back, Lucas Digne, they could maybe get rid of him. Maybe he's past his best. There's a couple of players in that team that are on big wages that are past their best. Get rid of them. Get in the likes of a Tielemans, who you can get on a free. He might not have expected to be at Villa, but Villa are a big club. They're at the same level as a Newcastle and a Spurs, in my view. They're a big club. So get a Tielemans in. Maybe not a Maguire. I think Unai Emery's too smart to get the likes of a Maguire. But maybe they need a top centre-half. They got a top goalkeeper in Martinez. Maybe they need a top centre-back. And maybe they need a striker. Maybe a striker like the likes of Lukaku. If they can get Lukaku in on loan, like the sort of Benteke sort of striker, when Benteke was at his pomp at Villa, a Lukaku sort of striker, a big target man, would be fantastic for Villa. I don't think Lukaku's going to go to them. I think Lukaku will stay at Inter Milan. But that sort of profile of striker. Those three. So looking through the spine, Tillemans bolsters that midfield. A target man gives a different option up front to what they have at the moment. And a centre-back to sort of raise the level of defender they have in that centre-back position. Mings has been great since he's come in, but if you put someone at a higher level to put next to Tyrone Mings, that would be fantastic. So just strengthen that spine, bring some of the academy boys through, which Unai Emery is fantastic at doing. He brought through Smith Rowe, he brought through Saka at Arsenal, which a lot of Arsenal fans forget, and bring back some of the loanees that are of the standard, and I think they can do it. And if they can get about three or four more bodies in from that sort of process, new signings, bringing back the loanees, bringing through some academy players, they will have a stronger squad than last season, and they'll be able to compete to get into the top 6. I don't think the top 4. They can, maybe if they didn't have any European commitments, but get into the top 6, definitely. And I do think that they'll get into the later stages of the Nations League. Unai will take that competition very seriously, as he should, as any manager or any team in that competition should, and he will try and win it. And I want to put it past him, because he is a very astute manager, even in Europe, getting Villarreal to the semi-finals of the Champions League, getting done by Liverpool back in 2022. He's very astute, Unai Emery. Unai Emery is a top manager. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, only Arsenal and City accumulated more points since he took over at Villa. He was very disrespected at Arsenal. He wasn't afforded the same time as Mikel Arteta, a 5th place finish and a Europa League final in Baku, which I went to, with a shit team that had the likes of Mustafi and the Greek centre-back. I forgot his name. This is not important. I forgot his name. You had Lichtsteiner. You had Kolasinac. What was his name? The Greek centre half. Pospotopoulos, something like that. Anyway, he was no good. You had Mustafi there. You had a lot of players there that weren't his players. You had signings that he didn't want to sign, and to get almost to the top 4 and get a European trophy back in the Champions League through the back door in his first season, fantastic for me. At the end of the day, I was there at the final. The difference was Eden Hazard. He was probably the only world-class player on the pitch. I believe that they had Kante also. I don't know if Kante played, but I believe they had Kante. So he's another world-class player they had. So they basically had a couple of world-class players, and we didn't have any. I consider maybe Aubameyang at that time was a world-class striker, but he didn't show up in that game. Neither did Lacazette, and they were sort of a world-class partnership between them. But Chelsea had the better team most definitely, and they were deserved winners there. And then he had a little bit of a dip. I consider it his first dip at Arsenal. His first dip, and bang, he was out. All the mocking his accent, mocking his English, he was out. Disrespected by the Arsenal fans, disrespected by the English pundits and sports media, unfairly treated, too soon dismissed. It is hard to come in after a legacy manager like Wenger, and he was judged far too harshly, far too unfairly. He had done a good job at Arsenal with a shit team, with signings that he didn't want, that he had to try and make do with. And then Mikel Arteta came in, 2 8th-place finishes. He was never hounded out. Okay, we finished 2nd in the Premier League this season, but we were on top of the league for more than 240 days. And we bottled it at the end. And his mismanagement was a part of that bottle job. Not rotating players. Not taking players out when they need a rest. Not changing formations and selecting players for certain teams. Common sense management. And he wasn't doing it. And that cost us. Having too much faith on the same team over and over again. Legs get tired. Opposition figure us out. The team should change according to who we play. Home and away. Different style of opposition. That's what Pep does so well. That's what I believe. That's how I believe football should be played. So his management cost us. So it wasn't the only reason. Arsenal bottled it in general. But his mismanagement did cost us. Fine, 2nd place is a good result. And I do think Arteta is a good manager. I just find it unfair that Unai didn't get the time Arteta did. And I think Unai is a better manager than Arteta anyway. I mean, I think that's clear to see. More experience, yes, but he is a better manager, and that is clear. So I do back Villa to get in the top 6 if they recruit smartly, if they recruit well. They have a very wealthy billionaire owner, and I think now they'll be able to attract players. They're in the Nations League. They have a world-class manager who'll be aiming higher, so they'll be able to get a better profile of player. And that's what I think of that. Declan Rice, second bid rejected. I believe it's upwards of 90 million. Maybe Arsenal are testing the waters. Now, Manchester City won't come in for Declan Rice as long as they still have Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. Well, specifically Gundogan, because I don't think he thinks that Calvin Phillips is at the level. And I think that Pep will use Calvin Phillips and money in order to get Declan Rice. Pay them the money, a little bit of the money, most of it, and then add Calvin Phillips, who will be the perfect replacement for Declan Rice at West Ham. Now, Arsenal need to act before Manchester City do, or before Manchester City feel they need to. So, that being said, I do think that Arsenal will come in with an improved third offer, and I do think it will be in excess of 100 million with add-ons. I think West Ham want 100 million up front with add-ons, or they want 110 or 20 million total package deal. A lot of experts think that this deal is going to happen along with the Havertz one, so we have to watch this space. Arsenal fans, don't panic. I think this move is going to happen according to what I've read and according to what I've been listening to. Other clubs, Manchester United, the centre-back that they wanted from Napoli, it looks like he's going to go to Bayern Munich, the Chinese centre-half, and that's a big miss for them because he's a top centre-half. He's a massive upgrade in what they have. The takeover, the supposed takeover, we don't know what's happening there. That's still up in the air. So we don't know what's happening at Manchester United. They've been a little bit quiet on the transfer front. Liverpool, they started off fast. They got McAllister, but things seem to have quieted out now. I don't know how much money they have. I don't know how much backing that Jurgen Klopp is going to have. I hope he gets the backing that he deserves, because I do think that if they are backed and they bolster that midfield and that defence with the attack they have, I think they'll be the closest ones to challenging Manchester City. But it's still early in the transfer window. Arsenal seem to be the most busy. They seem to be linked with everyone. I think they'll try and get their business done quick like they did last season. And they'll try and get targets before they are sabotaged. Well, I would recommend Arsenal that you actually pay the money or close to the money the club wants and stop faffing around with low ball offers. Act like a big club. It's still the start of the transfer window. As it moves forward, as players go on their holidays after the international break and they start coming back into pre-season training, I do see things accelerating, and I do think there will be transfer sagas this summer. More specifically, Harry Kane and Kylian Mbappe. I think they'll be the transfer sagas of the summer, where they end up or if they're going to stay where they are. Alright guys, so this is going to end today's video. Please leave a comment. Tell me what you guys think of the video. Tell me what you guys think about potential transfers that will and will not happen. Please smash the like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow for another one. Peace.